Developing tonight, the TSA is debating an idea to stop screening travelers at small airports.
The agency says it would let them move those security resources to larger airports. So we want to know, what do you think?
Go to 13newsnow.com/vote and let us know. Should the TSA shift resources to larger airports? In the meantime, 13 News Now reporter Megan Shinn speaks to a security expert about the idea.
Although the report didn't say which airports might no longer have security screenings, one of the small airports in Virginia is the Newport News Williamsburg International Airport. When we asked the spokesperson for a comment, she replied, but directed our questions towards TSA. Changes could come to 150 American airports. According to a TSA proposal, airports with planes carrying 60 passengers or less might no longer have security screenings. Reports say TSA could save $115 million by making the change. If the plans take off, people flying from small airports would only have their bags screened at larger airports, where more security might be added.
You don't know. Are you just displacing personnel?
Stephen Webb is a criminal justice professor at Regent University. Webb says if the security changes happen, airports could become bigger targets for terrorists.
Ought to give you pause for concern.
Over the phone, former FBI agent supervisor Stephen Foster agrees.
Americans are used to the screening at the airports. We should leave it in place.
He says people in Hampton Roads shouldn't panic about the possible security changes. But Foster says not having security screenings means our military will need a plan in case a commercial plane is hijacked.
But they don't have a plan to shoot down a civilian 50 or 60 passenger jet.
TSA spokesman says this proposed plan was part of an annual budget meeting. In a statement, TSA officials said changes would not take place without a risk assessment to ensure the security of the aviation system. In Newport News, Megan Shinn, 13 News Now.
We also reached out to Norfolk International Airport. A spokesperson told us it is unlikely Norfolk International would be among the airports where the TSA would stop screening.